Come and listen to my story about a man named Jed. A poor mountaineer barely kept his family fed. Then one day he was shooting at some food. Up from the ground come bubbling crude. All that is black gold, Texas tea. Well, the first thing you know, old Jed's a millionaire. Kinfolk said, Jed, move away from there. Said California is the place you ought to be. So they loaded up the truck and we moved to Beverly Hills, that is, swimming pools and movie stars. Praise the Lord. It's wonderful to be here. And we just thank the Lord for what he's going to do tonight. You see, people go to churches, they go different places, and they always have something planned to say. And they're ready, you know, they have everything going. But in my case, I never know what I'm going to say, but I do trust the Lord.
I'll tell you my little story. I sang this song on Hee Haw many years ago, and when I finished, Roy Acuff kind of stepped out of the shadows and said, boy, that's a pretty song. And I said, I think it's catchy. He said, you reckon I can sing it? I said, sweetheart, your name's Roy Acuff. I reckon you could sing anything you wanted to, okay? So I made a little deal with him, got a picture out of the deal, okay, with an autograph on him. And he sang this little song every time he set foot on that Grand Ole Opry stage until the day he went running into the arms of Jesus. Now, we used to sing on the Grand Ole Opry all the time when we were doing Hee Haw. But when Hee Haw, when the show finally, you know, stopped production, they didn't call us very much. And what's it been now, Bill? A couple of weeks now since they called? About a month? Boy, we've been gone a long time, haven't we, honey? Woof! About a month ago, they called and asked me if I'd come sing on the Grand Ole Opry. And so on December the 9th, this is what I'm going to sing to honor my friend. This is where you need the horse here. Yes, that's what I said. If you see a man in sandals, send him down my way, 'cause he might be my master. He's coming back someday. If you see a man in white that's like no one you've seen before, won't you let me know? 'Cause that's the man I'm looking for. And if you can remember, ask him what's his name. And if he tells you Jesus, just say, we're so glad you came. Tell him you know someone who still calls him Lord, then send him on to me, 'cause that's the man I'm looking for. No, but I probably should. Have I seen tea? Yeah. Thank you. If you see a man that shines with a love glow on his face, hey, turn him down my street so he can find my place. And if his hands are scarred, no, please don't shut your door. You just send him on to me, 'cause that's the man I'm looking for. Sing it with me, guys. And if you can remember, ask him what's his name. And if he tells you Jesus, just say, we're so glad you came. Tell him you know someone who still calls him Lord, then send him on to me, 'cause that's the man I'm looking for. If you see a man called Jesus, well, that's the man I'm looking for. Thank you.
Yeah, sit down, Pa. Everything's ready. I've been cooking all morning.
You have, huh?
Yes, sir. I want a big batch of pork chops and homemade biscuits and gravy. Well, it's a funny thing, Pa. Being in the kitchen so much just kind of took my appetite. When I cook it, I don't care too much to eat it.
What do you think when you go back and look at the DVDs and the reruns of that now?
Oh, it's fun. I mean, as I said, I love doing the part of Ellie. It was just such fun for me, and as it was worthwhile. That was my main thing. You're offered stuff that's not, and I was offered to go back and do it would be a nighttime soap type thing, really, and I don't guess you'd call it that, but it was like Santa Barbara and all those kind of things. And I was offered a part to go back, but I turned it down.
Okay, we're going to do Orphan Girl. I am an orphan on God's highway, but I'll share my trouble if you go my way. I have no mother, no father, no sister, no brother. I am an orphan girl. I have had friendships, true and golden, but the ties of kinship, I have not known them. I've known no mother, no father, no sister, no brother. I am an orphan girl. Now, this is where I generally tell people that if you watched our little show called Hee Haw, this fellow on there that played the harmonica, his name's Charlie McCoy, and that's him, because he owed me a really big favor, okay? I sang on his record. So I said, okay, now you have to come do this for me. And I was really blessed because I got him for 4 or 5 songs that day. And when he calls me, I will be able to meet my family at God's table. I'll meet my mother, my father, my sister, my brother. No more an orphan girl. Blessed Savior, make me willing. Walk beside me till I'm with them. Be my mother, my father, my sister, my brother. I am an orphan girl. I am an orphan girl. Okay. Thank you. Well, then let's just do something crazy, okay? crazy. I'm crazy for feeling so lonely. I'm crazy, crazy for feeling so blue. Yeah. I knew you'd love me as long as you wanted, and then someday you'd leave me for somebody new. Worry, why do I let myself worry? Wondering what in the world did I do? I'm crazy for thinking that my love could hold you. I'm crazy for trying and crazy for crying, and I'm crazy for loving you. Come on, honey. Come on, Mom. Quick, hurry. There you go. Thank you so much. Thank you for the dance. Worry, why do I let myself worry? Wondering what in the world did I do? I'm crazy for thinking that my love could hold you. I'm crazy for trying and crazy for crying, and I'm crazy for loving you. Crazy for thinking that my love could hold you. I'm crazy for trying and crazy for crying, and I'm crazy for loving you.
I think one of the things that well, it's not one of the things, I don't think, I know that in watching the Beverly Hillbillies, it was a family show in the era where people were starting to think differently, but then here came the Beverly Hillbillies and said, no, this is the way it is, let's keep it. And he did for a while, and that's my way of thinking anyway, because it was a family thing for us to gather for the Beverly Hillbillies each week. Then we got into Hee Haw, and it was the same thing. It was good, clean, family fun.
Country, yeah.
That was the fun part of it. It was you started getting some of these shows, the little bit of violence in it. Of course, the censors were still around back then, still pretty strict. Because I remember one of the shows with the Beverly Hillbillies. Back then, you probably couldn't even think about undergarments, especially women's. But here comes Ellie Mae had discovered a bra holding it up as a double-barrel slingshot, and I'm like, yo, hey, all right.
Hello.
Yeah.
Oh, Paul Hennig, he was.
He'll push the envelope, couldn't he?
Oh,
Yeah.
with everything. I mean, he was so talented.
Yeah.
He had done so many things.
Right.
He had done Burns and Allen.
Oh, that's a great show.
He had done that one. He had done Bob Cummings' show, and he had done movies. He'd been in the business for a long, long time, you know.
Yeah.
But with hillbillies, but they were strict with, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, no cleavage, no tummy
Right.
buttons, no buns.
Yeah.
I mean, they were really with me. They were really careful.
Yeah.
I mean that's just the way it was. I mean, the characters.
Yeah, right. Lulu, and keeping that train of thought with no cleavage and, you know, no shorts, and then here comes Hee Haw
Here
and the
comes-
girls.
that's all they were.
Here come the honeys.
Clevis and shorts.
Yeah.
Cleavage and shorts, yeah.
Right. Where did they go to find those girls? Were they just like there, or did they have to import them from somewhere?
They,
Import 'em.
what they did was they had a list of all these characters that they wanted. And so instead of doing these massive cattle calls, they went and they got Buck Owens in Bakersfield. They got Roy Clark in Tulsa. He was doing Vegas at that time, though.
Oh,
And then they got Archie, who was down in Knoxville. And then they had a couple of guys from Canada. And they just got the people who were big in country music at that time and said, okay, here's these characters we're looking for. Do you know any of them? And so the girls from California came from the Canadians that had started the show had moved their offices into Los Angeles. And they had girls come there. You know, I'm not real sure about how many they had or whatever. I just know, for my part, they just said they need a fat, dumb girl. Buck said, I got your girl. She's in Dallas. So from what I understand, they basically looked to the people who were big in country music at that time and said, do you know any of these characters? And Archie found Junior, okay?
Yeah, right.
And Buck found me. And Kathy, the little girl who said,
little
that's all,
blonde.
at the end of the show.
Oh, Kathy Baker, yeah.
Kathy Baker
Yes.
and Larry Gatlin were painting floors for us when we first started Hee Haw.
Wow, goodness.
They were working in the prop set painting
Yeah,
floors.
yeah. I love Kathy Baker. She's just
Yeah,
a
she's
sweetheart.
awesome, man.
Yeah.
One of our own, Tennessee Ernie Ford. He was born right here in Bristol.
yeah.
What do you remember about Tennessee Ernie?
Boy, he
being
was a
on
good
Hee Haw?
man. I remember.
Oh, yeah.
He was so sweet to me because I had just started to sing, and he came in one time when I was singing, and I came back, and he and I think it was Jimmy Dean were sitting there talking, and I was kind of sneaking around him, and they said, "Come here, little girl." Yeah. And Tennessee Ernie Ford said, "Boy," he said, "Lou, you have got such a great voice."
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And I was like, "Really?" Because when I first started singing, I was in the upper cases, shall we say. Okay, now that I'm old, I'm settled down in these lower cases, these good low keys, where I really nail it.
Yeah.
But I can remember, and Jimmy Dean said, "Boy, little girl, I'm going to tell you what now." He said, "You're going to be something."
Yeah.
And Ernie Ford was always so sweet to me. He was.
Yeah.
What did that mean to you? I mean, to hear someone with such a monumental voice as Tennessee Ernie Ford to say that to you.
Well, I didn't get it for a long time. I didn't. Okay, because that was in the early years, about 74, 75, okay? And I was just coming out of the drug scene and just being a new Christian and starting my life on a different path. And it took me many years to get to the place that I just woke up one morning and went, these people are legends. Because I didn't know anything about country music.
Yeah.
I didn't know who Minnie
Yeah.
Pearl was. I didn't know who Roy Acuff was. I didn't know who Tennessee Ernie Ford. I didn't know any of them were. And it took me probably a good 10 years of getting in there and getting myself straightened out and going. And then just, one day I woke up and I was like, wow, these people are all legends. So then I got to where I just kind of sit around and talk to them.